Hola and welcome to ProSpanish. In this video you're going to experience for yourself that when it comes to learning Spanish, it's quality and not quantity that's the key, and you'll see that with the right techniques anyone can get to a conversational level of Spanish very quickly. But just before we get into that, there's something new this week that all of you who are doing the levels 1 to 6 course are going to absolutely love. It's on the ProSpanish site and it's freely available to all, no login required. It went live just this week and it's going to really increase the gains that you're making from the main levels 1 to 6 ProSpanish course. I'll do a really quick run through of the main features. I think it's worth it as it's such an exciting breakthrough. If you're not doing the levels 1 to 6 course and you just want to get on with today's amazing lesson, then skip to the time frame on the screen now. So head to the main site, go down to levels 1 to 6 extra, boost, and here we have it. So just very quickly, at the top here is a table of the vocabulary, like a language table of what has been studied in that lesson from the levels 1 to 6 course. So
No es
you can click on it,
bueno para mí
get the
un
pronunciation that
restaurante.
you need. Then if you look along the tabs at the bottom here, so we can choose our lesson. Let's just go to level 3, for example. Sorry, lesson 3, level 1. And you see that we have a listening phase, a pronunciation check, and fluency. So we have our table up here, which we can click.
Tienes que.
And this is the recommended order, but you do what you need. So the listening phase is based on what we have up here. You're going to listen. And well, first of all, you can obviously choose Spain Spanish or Latin American Spanish. You can also choose the amount of pause that you'd like to give yourself thinking time before the answer comes up. But it's set to 8 seconds, but you probably might need less. This is the speed. If you'd like to slow it down slightly, let's put it on 7. And you listen.
Tengo que verte esta noche.
So it's slightly slower. And we're trying to work out, okay, what does that mean? Tengo que verte esta noche.
I have to see you tonight.
I have to see you tonight.
Tengo que darte algo.
And then it goes on to the next one. As I said, we can change the pause here or just use the pause button. Tengo que darte algo. I have to give you something. I have to give you something. So all of this is about fluency overall, being able to understand spoken Spanish. You'll have already have done the lesson from the main course where you'll have covered these structures. So this won't be new to you, but the idea is we're speeding up our communication ability. Okay, so once you've done that, you can go to the pronunciation check. And here, this is quite fun. So we'll get our sentence up. So we've got to say, you can give her a book. So we can look across here and we can say, puedes darle un libro. And it comes up as correct, obviously. And so let's try one with a not so perfect pronunciation. So, tengo que verte esta noche. Okay, I didn't like that. Let's try it again. Tengo que verte esta noche. Okay, and of course, to help you, if you're not sure how to pronounce it, you can just
Voy a darle.
click on there. And then we move on to the fluency phase. So this is a little bit like what you did with the listening, but it's the other way around. So you're going to hear the English and you're going to try and work out what the Spanish is as quickly as you can. You can obviously use this or look away from it, whatever you choose. So
I can see you tonight.
So we're thinking, okay, I can see you tonight. We've got 8 seconds. So puedo verte esta noche.
Puedo verte esta noche.
Okay, so that's so I got that one right. And
I have to give you something.
So tengo que darte algo. I'm just going to pause it now. Obviously, you can increase the pause if you like. This is set up so that you can just start it and you might be doing something else and you can have it running without having to stop and start it all the time. Okay, so you can imagine what a massive boost this is going to give to your learning. It's only just gone live, so we're adding material all the time. Not all the lessons are on there yet, but they will be very, very soon. So just head over to the site and check it out. We'll begin this lesson with some very useful verbs. I often start with the verbs because they tend to be the easiest to remember and also have the most kind of communicative force in sentences. So we'll begin with estar en Mallorca.
Estar en Mallorca.
Estar en Mallorca, to be in Mallorca. So estar is to be. So think of to be a star as one way of remembering this. So estar en Mallorca, to be in Mallorca. And we could have estar en Madrid, to be in Madrid. Estar en Manchester, to be in Manchester.
Estar en Mallorca.
And you don't need to try to remember this vocabulary. Just go with the lesson and you'll pick it up as we go. Okay, so another one here with estar, to be here.
Estar aquí.
Estar aquí, to be here. Let's get down to the next one. Compartir algo. Compartir is to share. Compartir. Think of sharing a compartment. Compartir. Compartir algo, to share something.
Compartir algo.
Compartir algo, to share something. Next one, fairly easy to learn this one. Usar esto, to use this. So usar, nice and easy, to use. Usar esto, to use this. See if you can, just going up, sort of mixing these two up a bit. How would you say to share this? What would that be, to share this? It would be compartir, from here, compartir esto. To share this, compartir esto. So again, this one, to use this.
Usar esto.
Usar esto. Okay, to change this. Cambiar esto. Cambiar esto, to change this. Cambiar is to change. Hablar español, so to speak. Hablar, to speak Spanish. Hablar español. Hablar español, to speak Spanish. Jugar al golf. Nice and easy to remember. Jugar al golf, to play golf. Jugar al golf. Don't worry if you've got the impression that we're going through this too quickly. This is just a moment to get familiar with the vocab before the next phase. Don't worry about trying to remember it, as I said before. So jugar al golf, to play golf.
Jugar al golf.
Okay, and then to do that. Hacer eso. Hacer eso.
Hacer eso.
To do that. And see if you can see the difference between this and that. What's the difference between this and that? That is eso, as in hacer eso, to do that. And this is esto. Esto, this. How would you say to do this? Hacer esto. Hacer esto, to do this. Okay, let's move over to the next column now. A few easy ones to start with. Contigo, with you. Contigo, with you.
Contigo.
So contigo, with you. And you can see there the con is the with. With them. Con ellos. Con ellos, with them.
Con ellos.
Con ellos, with them. Then we have all day, and it works out as all the day. Todo el día. Todo el día, all the day. But we would just say all day.
Todo el día. Todo el día.
So todo el día. All day, all the day. Nice, easy one. Mañana. Mañana, mañana. So tomorrow, tomorrow. Mañana.
Mañana.
Mañana, tomorrow. And soon. We all know pronto as a word. Soon, pronto.
Pronto. Pronto.
Okay, if we look at these, the two columns here, how would you say to be here soon? What would that be? To be here soon.
Estar aquí. Pronto.
So, estar aquí pronto. To be here soon. Estar aquí pronto. To be here soon. Let's try another one. How would you say to change this tomorrow? What would that be? And take a moment to think. You may need to pause the video. To change this tomorrow. Cambiar esto mañana.
Cambiar esto. Mañana.
So, cambiar esto mañana. To change this tomorrow. Okay, and let's go to our first, that's the starting point. And we'll start with something that's quite easy to remember. I prefer. I prefer is prefiero. Prefiero.
Prefiero.
So, I prefer.
Prefiero.
Prefiero. I tend to. This is also translated as something I normally do. So, suelo is I tend to do this, or I usually do this. Just out of interest, suelo also means floor, as in the kitchen floor, whatever floor it might be. Completely unrelated, but suelo is I tend to, or I normally do something.
Suelo. Suelo.
So suelo. I'm going to. Voy a. So voy a. I'm going to.
Voy a.
I can.
Puedo. Puedo.
So I can. Puedo. Puedo. I can. And I need. Fairly easy to remember this one.
Necesito.
So necesito. I need.
Necesito.
Necesito. I need. And in Latin America, it's pronounced with a s rather than a th sound. So necesito. Necesito in Latin America.
Necesito.
Necesito in Spain. And me gustaría is I would like or I'd like. Me gustaría. I'd like. Okay, so let's just, I'm just going to pick out some words and you see if you can find them, identify them on here. So, can you find the word that means to share? Where is to share? And it's here, compartir. Compartir, to share. Compartir algo, to share something. What's the word for soon? Pronto.
Pronto.
Soon. What was the word for I tend to, or I usually do this?
Suelo.
Suelo. I tend to, or I usually do it. Suelo. Okay, in this next phase, we're just going to build up our sentences. So first of all, and make sure, I briefly mentioned it before, but it's really important that you think through your answer before you hear it from me. So if you need to, pause the video. Okay, so let's start off with I can.
Puedo.
Puedo. I can. Now we're going to extend it. How would you say I can be here? I can be here. If you look at the translations, it would come out as I can to be here. In English, we wouldn't say the to, but it's because we're using the full verb. So I can be here. What's that? Puedo estar aquí. Puedo estar aquí. I can be here all day. How would we say that full sentence? I can be here all day. Puedo estar aquí todo el día. Puedo estar aquí todo el día. Okay, let's start off with I would like or I'd like. Me gustaría. I'd like to change this. Me gustaría cambiar esto. I'd like to change this soon. Me gustaría cambiar esto mañana. Me gustaría cambiar esto mañana. Let's try one more in this phase. I'm going to. Voy a.
Voy a.
I'm going to share something. Voy a compartir algo. I'm going to share something with you. Voy a compartir algo contigo. Voy a compartir algo contigo. A quick pause there while I mention our very popular Levels 1 to 6 course. This takes the complete beginner or a near beginner right up to a conversational level of Spanish in a series of very easy to follow steps. All the lessons on this YouTube channel are supplementary, whereas the core Levels 1 to 6 is very much a step-by-step program delivered by the same teacher as all the other videos on the ProSpanish YouTube channel. And while the style is very similar to what you'll be used to from these videos on the channel, the key difference is that every lesson carefully builds on the previous lessons so that you can really feel that progress of going from very little or no Spanish up to a level where you can confidently hold a conversation in Spanish. So again, that's available exclusively from prospanish.co.uk. Okay, in this next part, just listen and try to work out the sentence that's being said. So you can use the table here, working across it, and try to work out the sentence. Voy a usar esto mañana. Voy a usar esto mañana. And what was being said there? I'm going to use this tomorrow. Okay, the next one. Prefiero estar en Mallorca contigo. Prefiero estar en Mallorca contigo. I prefer to be in Mallorca with you. Okay, next. Necesito compartir algo con ellos. Necesito compartir algo con ellos. I need to share something with them. Suelo jugar al golf todo el día. Suelo jugar al golf todo el día. And that means I tend to play golf all day, all the day. Or I usually play golf all day. Puedo estar aquí todo el día. Puedo estar aquí todo el día. I can be here. I can be here all day. And one more from this phrase. Prefiero hacer eso con ellos. Prefiero hacer eso con ellos. I prefer to do that with them. Okay, and we'll swap it around now. So I will say the English and you're going to come up with the Spanish. If at all possible, if you're in a situation where you can, then say the phrases out loud. And where possible, start to look away from the table so that you're not always relying on it. But of course, you can also use it for as much support as you need. Okay, so how would you say, I can speak Spanish all day? Puedo hablar español todo el día. Puedo hablar español todo el día. How about, I'd like to share something with you. Me gustaría compartir algo contigo. Me gustaría compartir algo contigo. How about, I tend to play golf with them. I tend to play golf with them. Suelo jugar al golf con ellos. Suelo jugar al golf con ellos. And that could also be translated as I usually play golf with them. How about, I need to be in Mallorca tomorrow. Necesito estar en Mallorca mañana. Necesito estar en Mallorca mañana. And of course, we could change it to necesito estar en Madrid mañana. I need to be in Madrid tomorrow. Necesito estar en Barcelona mañana. How about, I'm going to use this all day. Voy a usar esto todo el día. Voy a usar esto todo el día. How about, I need to do that with you. Necesito hacer eso contigo. Necesito hacer eso contigo. I'd like to use this with them. Me gustaría usar esto con ellos. Me gustaría usar esto con ellos. And you can see just how quickly we could expand this language out. So if we're looking at jugar al golf, to play golf, well, I'm sure you can guess what these phrases mean. Jugar al tenis, jugar al fútbol, jugar al cricket. So jugar al tenis, to play tennis. How would you say, I'd like to play tennis with you? Me gustaría jugar al tenis contigo. Me gustaría jugar al tenis contigo. And so another quick reminder before we move on to the more advanced parts lesson. The levels 1 to 6 ProSpanish course is available exclusively from prospanish.co.uk. Entonces, para la parte más avanzada, vamos a usar una mezcla de español e inglés. Y vamos a usar la mayor parte del vocabulario anterior. Entonces, por ejemplo, pues vamos a seguir con esto, con prefiero, suelo, voy a, puedo, necesito. Vamos a seguir con los verbos, estar en Mallorca, compartir algo, cambiar esto, hablar español, jugar al golf, hacer eso. Pero vamos a cambiar esto. Vale, vamos a decir hasta qué y cuándo. Entonces podemos decir I prefer to be here until, or I prefer to be here when. I can use this until. Bien, hasta qué y cuándo. Y vamos a añadir otra sección. Entonces tenemos they arrive, they do it, they find it, they leave, they finish, they begin, they call. Vamos a poder decir, we are going to be able to say, I prefer to be here until they arrive. Or, I need to use this when they leave, or when they finish. Pero también se puede notar que indicativo, so the normal present tense would be llegan. It would be lo hacen, they do it. Lo encuentran, they find it. Se van would be they leave. Esto es el subjuntivo. Entonces, ¿por qué? So why do we need the subjunctive on the end here? Well, after until and when, it's not a given that you will need the subjunctive. It's only when it refers to the future. So when we're saying, I'm going to be here until they arrive, they haven't arrived yet. It's something that hasn't happened yet. So when we use until or when plus something happening in the future, then that will be the subjunctive. That's interesting because there's one word down here which we're not going to be able to use with the subjunctive. And there's one thing here which kind of automatically means that it's not really going to be referring to the future, but referring to something that usually happens. And if it's something that usually happens, then it's just the normal present tense. It's not the subjunctive. It's when we're saying, I'll do this when, then it's the subjunctive. If it's, I usually play football when something else is going on, then that's just the normal present tense. So here, suelo is not going to be used in our examples because suelo is, we're not referring to something that is going to be happening. So we're not going to be able to say, I usually am here, I tend to be here until plus the subjunctive, because that's not referring to a future event. So we'll not use that one. La forma del subjuntivo Esto lo hicimos en otro video. Lo importante es recordar que en el subjuntivo es un poco como la terminación es lo contrario del indicativo. So we can just think of the subjunctive ending as being like the opposite of what it is in the usual indicative present. So if it's an AR verb, then normally it would be llegan, they arrive. Well, it's the opposite ending when it's subjunctive, so lleguen. The other thing to remember is that we start with the root of, so the first person root part of the word. So hago is for I do. So we start with that, and then we're going to have the ending, which is the opposite of what you would expect. So hacer is an ER verb, so it'd normally be hacen, so it would be hagan. But I'm not particularly spending much time on the form. That was covered in a video a few weeks back, or maybe a month back. So we're just going to practice how to use this. Bien, entonces, ¿cómo se diría? How would we say? How would you say? I prefer to be here when they arrive. Prefiero estar aquí cuando lleguen. Prefiero estar aquí cuando lleguen. I would like to change this when they finish. Me gustaría cambiar esto cuando terminen. Me gustaría cambiar esto cuando terminen. I'm going to share this when they leave. Voy a compartir esto. So I've changed it a little bit. Voy a compartir esto cuando se vayan. Voy a compartir esto cuando se vayan. Okay, next. I can use this until they begin or start. Puedo usar esto hasta que empiecen. Puedo usar esto hasta que empiecen. ¿Y cómo sería? I'm going to play golf when they finish. Voy a jugar al golf cuando terminen. Voy a jugar al golf cuando terminen. How about? I'd like to speak Spanish until they arrive. Me gustaría hablar español hasta que lleguen. Me gustaría hablar español hasta que lleguen. And it would also make sense to say it until they leave. I'd like to speak Spanish until they leave. What would that be? Well, let's make it, I'm going to speak Spanish until they leave. Maybe they're all Spanish people there. Voy a hablar español hasta que se vayan. Voy a hablar español hasta que se vayan. How about, I'm going to share something when they call. Voy a compartir algo cuando llamen. Voy a compartir algo cuando llamen. And that concludes today's ProSpanish lesson. As mentioned earlier, if you're looking to become a confident and a competent speaker of Spanish, head over to prospanish.co.uk.